Hey everybody, it's GomedX and welcome back to another Magic Arena Tinkerer's Cube Draft. We're going to have 3 more Tinkerer's Cube Drafts coming up, one today, tomorrow, and the next day. But then on Wednesday is the early access event for Kaldheim. So we'll have a Kaldheim draft up on Wednesday, and if you want to see me play in that early access event live, make sure to check out the link to my Twitch channel in the description below. I'm very pumped for Kaldheim, but in the meantime, just a tiny update at the start of this draft. 3 more days of Tinkerer's Cube Draft, and then it's all in on Kaldheim. So let's see what we've got in this pack here. We've certainly got multiple options. Soul Warden's going to be great in any life gain deck, triggering that enter the battlefield gain life effect is incredibly easy. It's going to happen very, very often, so anything that you have that cares about whenever you gain life will trigger all the time with this card. Obviously, the best kind of stuff would be a Johnny's Pridemate. Gets really big really fast, so Soul Warden's pretty great for white-black life gain. Tendershoot Dryad's pretty fantastic. This will go into any green deck. It's just a really, really massive threat all on its own. It's going to create a gigantic army, and it does it very quickly, making a token each upkeep. So I really like taking a mono-colored card in the first pack, and preferably one that can fit into multiple strategies. Since the Tendershoot Dryad can go into literally any green deck, and it'll be good, doesn't matter what strategy we're playing, I am going to take it over the Soul Warden there, but I do think Soul Warden is a really important and really good card in the life gain decks. But that being said, even though Soul Warden is mono-colored, it's really only at its absolute best in white-black. That being said, if we had taken a Soul Warden, I think we'd scoop up the Johnny Adversary of Tyrants pretty easily here. That's just a really powerful planeswalker. It can bring back any creature with converted cost 2 or less from your grave to the battlefield as a -2, which is really good, again, in those white-black life gain decks, because you have a lot of very important creatures that you don't want to die, like a Johnny's Pridemate. And the plus ability works really well with Proliferate, with +1/+1 counter strategies, and those are available in green-white. So I think a Johnny is a really nice card because it's good in any white deck, and it's really good in like white-black life gain or green-white +1/+1 counters. So I might take that here. I don't really like the green cards here. Branching Evolution only does a lot if you are straight up green-white, or if you are straight up running a lot of +1/+1 counter spells. I suppose green-blue can do that as well, and these other green cards just aren't that exciting. I actually think I might go with Champion of Wits here. Just because I think that card is quite good. 3 mana for a 2/1. When it comes into play, draw cards equal to its power, then discard 2 cards, and then you eternalize it at 7 mana. You bring it back as a 4/4, draw 4 cards, and discard 2. The reason I'm picking this is because I think it's a pretty decent card, and I do want to try to get into some strategies that I haven't really drafted before. I haven't ended up in Simic, I don't think, in any of my drafts. So maybe we just take the best blue card in that pack and see if maybe we can end up in Simic here. That would be kind of cool. I am forcing it a little bit, but at this point, I've drafted this set a ton. I've gotten like loads and loads of 7-win runs out of the set. I don't really need to be drafting as competitively as ever now, especially since it's only live for a few more days here. I want to get as wide a variety of experiences as I can out of these last 3 drafts. So I think I'm going to try to go Simic here, and if it works out, it works out. That being said, Sifter Worm I think is also just a pretty fantastic pick. Maybe it would be Druid of the Cowl before Sifter Worm, because I think green-blue could work as a really fun ramp deck. Both Tendershoot Dryad and Champion of Wits would kind of work in that sort of strategy, because Champion of Wits ideally will have the 7 mana to bring that back later. And Sifter Worm is just really, really nice in a ramp deck because you can scry your top 3 when it comes into play, so you scry away your early little mana dorks because once you've cast Sifter Worm, you already have 7 mana anyway, and then you ideally try to hit another big, like 7 or 8 mana scary card, gain a bunch of life off of it to get you back in the game if your opponent's been super aggressive against you. I think it's just a really solid card. And here, I like Voracious Hydra. I also like Mantle of the Wolf a ton. As we saw in our last Golgari draft, I think it was draft number 8, throwing this on basically any creature in the game. If you're casting this on turn 4, that's just an immense amount of pressure on your opponent. That being said, I think Voracious Hydra is also incredibly good, being able to kill one of our opponent's creatures and make a big, rampy, scary threat. I'm going to go with Voracious Hydra over Mantle of the Wolf here. I don't know if that's particularly correct, but I do really want to set myself up to play a pretty cool ramp deck here. And for the same reason, I think it's going to be Overgrown Battlement pretty easily here. We now have several really expensive green cards, so Overgrown Battlement will be fantastic in this deck, just tapping for a green mana, letting us cast those cards a bit early. If we were taking anything else here, what would it be? If I'm literally just trying to be as competitive as possible with these 4 cards as my picks, I don't think that there's really anything I would take over Overgrown Battlement. But maybe we could take like Quasi-Duplicate because that would be fun, but I'm going to take the Overgrown Battlement there. Now, what do we have? Curiosity seems a little weird for blue-green, and we're not really blue, we just have a Champion of Wits. I suppose I could end up not playing Simic, because I'm not seeing that much blue that I really want, at least in this pack particularly. I suppose Quasi-Duplicate would have been fun, but Overgrown Battlement's just so important to ramp into those big cards. I think I'm just taking Nessie and Hornbeetle here. We're likely to have plenty of creatures with power 4 or greater to potentially get a bunch of +1/+1 counters on this, and if we do end up in green-blue, we can proliferate those counters to make this even bigger and bigger, which is pretty cool as well. Alright. Blue's definitely not looking that open, with Censor being the only blue card in this pack. That's not really a card I want to run here. Maybe I just take Tranquil Thicket. Just because I can definitely play it if I'm green and some other color. Just nice to be able to top deck that land in the late game and just cycle it away, turn into something else. Because if we draw this in our opening hand and we need to play it as a land, entering the battlefield tapped is not that big of a drawback. If this is like our first land, we're not very likely to have a lot of 1-mana cards. I guess I will take Tranquil Thicket here, but now we need to start looking at what might be open, and I'm thinking black with like Witch's Vengeance and Davriel. Fight with Fire is quite good too, so that's a good sign for red. These white cards I'm not a massive fan of, but they're both decent, so white is decently open there too. Alright, and then now we're just seeing the white-black life gain, Indulging Patrician, Oath of Kaya, Erebos' Intervention, Revival Revenge. We're seeing 3 Orzhov cards in this pack. I think if we want to be as competitive as possible, this might be the point. This is pick 8, which means everyone else has seen this pack, and nobody took an Orzhov card. If we want to be as competitive as possible, this might be a point where we just jump ship and go for white-black. But that being said, if I take a white-black card out of here, I think Erebos' Intervention is just the strongest one, being able to kill something and gain a bunch of life, and then I'm still passing 3 Orzhov cards, which is a really big sign to these people when they're going to see that there's 3 Orzhov cards still in the pack that late. I feel like one of them might pivot into Orzhov, so I'm like not super wanting to jump onto that strategy so hard that I'm taking something weak for it, like Sentinel's Eyes here. That being said, I do want to keep that in mind. We are seeing good red too. I mean, Dark Dweller Oracle's pretty decent, but here I'll take Contentious Plan. I think it's just good with the +1/+1 counter themes that you can get in green for like a green-blue deck. Fateful End is fine here. Stitcher's Supplier is okay if we do end up Golgari. Siren Lookout, Merfolk Windrobber. I think between those two it would definitely be Siren Lookout because it can come into play with a +1/+1 counter and also sort of draws you a card. Not a massive fan of any of these. I think I will just take the Siren Lookout. Now we're just seeing a bunch of cards that aren't that great for any strategy, really, so I guess I'm just taking stuff that's on theme with what I've been picking so far. Grimdancer works well in life gain, just having 3 powers of lifelinker turn 3. Am I gonna be playing a Thassa's Oracle if I end up blue-green? Actually, probably not. I'm actually going to take Grimdancer here. Thassa's Oracle is really good if you're self-milling yourself a bunch. You could win the game with it. But if you're not really heavily blue and you're not self-milling yourself, there's not much reason to play it. Because in order to cast it, you need double blue, and you want that in the early game to cast it on like turn 2 if you're just like scrying with it or whatever. And I don't think we're likely to be heavily blue. If we're playing blue, it's going to be green as our core, blue as just like a side color. Alright, last pick Censor is a good sign for blue. Let's get rid of that Spellgorger Weird. I think I am still open to going Golgari here, just because a lot of my blue is not very powerful. Murmuring Mystic can be really good, but it's not going to be at its best in green-blue. Siren Lookout's just unexciting. Same with Sensor in this deck, Strategic Planning. A lot of my blue cards are pretty weak, so if we see like really good Golgari stuff, like if Lord of Extinction or Unbreakable Bond wheels, I think we can jump ship on blue and just go Golgari instead. That being said, I think we're just taking Multani here. We're pretty much definitely green. Yeah, I'm not going to jump ship for a Heliod when I feel like the people to my left could just as easily have pivoted into white-black life gain, and then I'm just getting cut this pack. I'm going to scoop up Multani there. Now, what do we have? Honestly, not a ton. I have played Bolas' Citadel once before, and it was pretty solid in the deck that I ended up with that in there. Super nice, but Dreadhorde Invasion really for Rakdos Sacrifice. Call of the Death Dweller, you want a lot of small creatures. We're not likely to have that if we're going to be green-black, and Order of Midnight I just don't like that much, so I think I'm probably just taking another green card here, and our second color can still end up being whatever. I do love the Chainweb Arachneer a lot. I've played it a ton, and I haven't really ever played the Sapherd or the Crocodile, so maybe I just try one of those out here. In the spirit of trying new things and doing stuff I haven't done before, but I don't know. I think Chainweb Arachneer is just enough better than those at face value that I'm still going to take the Arachneer. Just the fact that this can come back from the grave multiple times is really good. Even just coming back from the grave once. You get it out there, it slows your opponent down, it trades off with something if they're really aggressive, or it just chump blocks with something, and then you bring it back as a 4/5 with reach. I just like that card a lot. What on earth am I taking here? I don't love any of these blue cards. Sarah Lenora draws a card when she enters the battlefield. She's kind of hard to target. Doesn't seem that exciting or that great. I guess we could take like a Quench since we have like Sensor already. We could try to go for a like green-blue flash strategy, but that's not really well supported in this cube. That's not really what the green-blue decks are doing most of the time. You just don't often have time to keep up counter magic with what green has. There's just like no flash in green in this. I guess maybe we take Silent Departure. We could also just take Twin Blade Paladin, maybe. White-black is like fully open, and then we just jump ship. I shouldn't have said a word, because now there's nothing for us in Simic, except maybe Departed Deckhand. That could be a good combo in the late game with a big creature like Sifter Worm. You can spend 4 mana and make your Sifter Worm unblockable. That's kind of cute, but that's the only card for Simic, and it's not, like, fantastic. Whereas for Orzhov, Life Gain, there's Serra Ascendant, Blood Artist, and Falconwrath Noble, all of which are really good. I'm going to take Serra Ascendant here, I think. I guess maybe I should take a black card. I should probably take a black card first, because we could use that if we do end up in black-white, because black-white is super open here, if it ends up being super open here. And then we could also just use it in green-black if blue just keeps getting cut. We could just pivot into like black as our core. Well, there's a flash card, Brineborn Cutthroat, but as I said before, blue-green flash not so much a thing here, but it would be cute. Again, no green. I guess green is just getting hard cut. That's about as awkward as things could possibly be for us, seeing as green is our heaviest color. I guess I'm going to just start taking white-black life gain cards, because they're still here. Maybe this is happening. Maybe we are doing the full pivot from green-blue into white-black in Pack 2. I don't love Hushbringer in the white-black life gain decks, because I think there's a lot of decent enter the battlefield effects, like Sunscourge Champion, Soul Warden, and stuff like that, that you're just shutting off with it. So I prefer Leon and Vanguard over it, just because you're shutting off your own stuff with Hushbringer. That's the main reason. I guess the most open pick here would be Solemn Simulacrum. We'll play that in anything we're playing, but the white-black is looking pretty decently open, and green is looking pretty cut here. Yep, that's a pick 8 of Johnny's Pride Mate. Scoop that up. Somebody did take the Heliod out of this pack. But other than that, I think we're looking pretty open in Orzhov still, even after that last pack. Now I'm going to take the Call of the Death Dweller because you can bring things back with the white-black decks. You have a lot of cheap creatures. I do already have a lot of cheap creatures. Lead-in Vanguard, Pridemate, Blood Artist, all of these are important creatures as well. Yeah, this has been a weird draft. We just got hard cut out of green in this pack. Mildly cut out of blue. I think I'm just generally unexcited by a lot of the blue cards in this cube. But especially for green-blue. Stab Wound and Tumor Exarch. I kind of like the Entomber Exarch a little better. For white-black specifically, I don't think you're trying to like drain your opponent out with a Stab Wound in that sort of strategy. Well, here's some late blue. Maybe the color distribution of the packs was just really awkward. Hushbringer's second to last pick is another really good sign for Orzhov. So, I have 12 cards here for a white-black life gain deck. And I need 11 more to get a 23 non-lands and 17 lands deck. I guess this is the moment of truth here. We'll see if it all pays off, but we need to be really selective on our picks. I definitely think I want Grey Merchant here, because Grey Merchant gains life. We've got a decent Devotion to Black already. Double black on Grim Dancer, double black on a Tumor Exarch. I think I want it more than Unburial Rites, even though Unburial Rites is sort of an Orzhov card. It's really at its best in Golgari, bringing stuff out of the grave. It would be decent here, though, so if it wheels, that'd be nice. Archon of Sun's Grace, I think, is very likely to be the pick. Charming Prince, there are a few times that I would take Charming Prince over Archon of Sun's Grace, but it's very slim. Mainly if I had, like, Griffinary, there'd be a decent argument for Charming Prince, because Charming Prince can come out for 2 mana and gain 3 life immediately, and Griffinary wants you to specifically gain 3 life, but I think even then, the Archon of Sun's Grace, even though it's slower, being able to spit out more Pegasus, or Pegasi, if you have any other enchantments in your deck, is just really good. I guess right now I don't have any enchantments, but I think I'm still taking the Archon as just a 3/4 flying lifelink. That's just a very impressive card without its ridiculous secondary effect. How much removal do I have right now? That is the question between taking Resplendent Angel or Faith's Fetters. Resplendent Angel, 3 mana, 3/3 flyer. You can spend a bunch of mana into this to give it +2/+2 in lifelink and start pooping out 4/4 flying Vigilance Angels. And Faith's Fetters just shuts down anything your opponent is doing. Any permanent shuts off all of its activated abilities, and any creature also can't attack or block. So I kind of think I want the Faith's Fetters here. Yeah, I just have Erebos' Intervention, so I want the interaction of Faith's Fetters. Maybe we will Resplendent Angel, but somebody did scoop up a Heliod, so I doubt it. I think whoever took Heliod is going to take that, that Angel. Could take a Heliod's Pilgrim, because Heliod's Pilgrim can pick up our Faith's Fetters, so that's kind of cute. Anointer Priest, I don't think we're going to have very many creature tokens. This doesn't do much. I guess it's a 2 mana 1/3 chump blocker that we get back from the grave for 4, which is okay. I don't think Timuret Calls the Dead is going to be the thing. Basri's Lieutenant is just a generally powerful white card, but it doesn't really combo with anything we have here. I suppose Heliod's Pilgrim is only comboing with Faith's Fetters, and that's it, so I guess Basri's Lieutenant seems fine. Just a strong card. Banishing Light or Pacifism, we're definitely taking one of those because it combos well with Archon of Sun's Grace. Banishing Light can exile anything until it leaves the battlefield, whereas Pacifism is only stopping a creature and only stopping the creature from attacking or blocking, so while Banishing Light is 1 more mana, I think it's still enough better than Pacifism that it's going to be the pick here. The strongest argument for taking Pacifism would be if we're convinced that we're going to wheel Heliod's Pilgrim. Since Heliod's Pilgrim can search your deck for any aura, it could search for Faith's Fetters or Pacifism, but it can't search for Banishing Light because Banishing Light's not an aura. So I think that would be the biggest thing, maybe drawing me to the Pacifism over the Banishing Light, but I think even then, Banishing Light is just better. Now I'm definitely taking Shadow Spear. This is a really good equipment. It's really cheap to get on the field and cheap to equip, and gives whatever you suit up trample and lifelink, and potentially you can make your opponent's stuff lose hexproof and indestructible, so you can kill gods with it, which is nice. Lich's Caress is another fantastic removal spell for a life gain deck, because you're triggering life gain when you cast this, and it's just a removal spell. I mean, destroy a creature, so really nice there. Path of Bravery, I think, is the choice. Whenever one of our creatures attacks, we gain a life, and when our life total is higher than our starting life total, all our creatures get +1/+1. I guess our curve's pretty awkward here. We don't have a ton of 1 or 2 drops. I definitely want more 2 drops. I don't know about 1 drops. So maybe there's an argument for the Enforcer or the Unicorn. The Unicorn does give you main deckable hate against other enchantments. I think Path of Bravery is just potentially such a sweet card that I'm going to take it there. Might be a little bit of a mispick because with Path of Bravery, you also want a lot of like 2-mana creatures to be able to curve out into Path of Bravery consistently, and we just don't have that right now. Now I'm definitely taking Splendor Mare. Nice 3/3 lifelinker for 3. Cycling for 2. We're taking nothing out of here. I only need 1 more playable card, and we have an actual just white-black life gain deck. There we go. Anointer Priest, super solid, and it fills out the curve. We've got a lot at 3 mana here. I'm just going to take another 2-mana creature. The Seeker's Squire. And Ardenvale Tactician, that's super playable here too. So we actually get to make some cuts. So that was a really, really weird draft. But we ended up doing the full pivot from green-blue into white-black, just because it ended up being pretty open there. And we got really cut out of green, which was an unfortunate occurrence. So I'm not sure I'm ever going to end up drafting Simic. I think one of the things that I was noticing there was, part of us not drafting Simic here was that we were cut out of green really hard. There were just not a lot of great green options in Pack 2. But there's also the fact that I was just running into a lot of times where there were plenty of blue cards in the pack, like Brineborn Cutthroat type things and Callous Dismissal type stuff, that I was just like, or mainly like Brineborn Cutthroat and then like Censor and Quench kind of little counter spells, that I just felt like the blue just doesn't combo well with the green in general. I think blue-green in this set, maybe the best stuff you could do is running like Callous Dismissal and Baron, Unsummon, all of those kinds of effects, and just being a blue-green aggressive tempo deck that slows down your opponents while you're playing your own beefy creatures and trying to kill them that way. But I think I made a bit of a misfire at the start in taking all of these big, like, scary green threats, so we could do a pretty sweet green ramp deck without realizing that ramping into big stuff really doesn't work with the way that blue is in this Tinkerer's Cube. It's a lot of early harassing your opponent to slow them down, so you can try to win by slowing your opponent down, or just a lot of like counterspell type stuff that you need to hold mana up for. And in a green deck with a lot of big stuff, you don't want to hold up mana. You want to just tap out and play your biggest thing every turn. So I think the kinds of blue cards that we were taking were not really the kinds of cards that were going to work well with the green rampy stuff, and the kinds of green rampy stuff we were taking just wasn't going to work well with basically any blue in the cube. So kind of an awkward start in that sense, but getting cut out of green basically entirely managed to get us to pivot into a good deck here, so it's all good. We didn't get any of the massive payoffs. I suppose we got a Johnny's Pridemate. I do think a Johnny's Pridemate is just one of the best life gain payoffs, because at 2 mana this thing gets so massive so quickly. But we didn't get like Heliod or anything absolutely busted. I think I'm going to cut Hushbringer here. I just rarely like that card in this cube. You really have to build around it, and we have not succeeded at doing that. Because I wasn't even trying. We got this like second or third to last pick at some point. But yeah, we have like Grey Merchant has a really important enter the battlefield effect, and Tumor Exarch, Basri's Lieutenant, Grim Dancer, Sunscourge Champion, Emissary of Sunrise, Seeker Squire, just tons of enter the battlefield, so we really can't play Hushbringer in this deck. Then I need to make one more cut. Could maybe cut a land, that seems a little bold. Average 3. I think we could cut a land, but let's see if there's anything that just doesn't make much sense in here. Pride of Conquerors doesn't make a lot of sense, because I don't think we're going to be going that wide that often. We should definitely sort out our creatures and see how the actual creature curve looks. This is actually not that bad of a curve. Thought we were doing a lot worse, but yeah, one of the things when you pivot into a different strategy as late as I did here, because you don't get that many cuts, even if every single pack is a decent card for your color, or every single pick is a decent card for your colors, which it ended up being, we still only get like 2 cuts, because I pivoted at a point where I only had 12 cards for the strategy going into pack 3, so I had to get, 11 good cards minimum. And luckily, white and black were just pretty open here, so it all worked out. Anyways, I think I want to cut Pride of the Conquerors over a land. I think that's just a thing. I've got 2 Explore cards, and Explore cards is pretty nice when you have a high land count. So even if we have a little more lands than we need, I think Explore definitely balances it out, having 2 Explore cards here. So let's cut the Pride of Conquerors, and then bam. White-black life gain. Sort of. I mean, there are a lot of not synergistic cards in here. This isn't the best white-black life gain deck I've ever drafted. We don't have a lot that really cares about the gaining the life, but it's mainly just a bunch of stuff that can trigger Johnny's Pridemate, and a bunch of stuff that's super solid otherwise. Oh yeah, Twin Blade Paladin. We actually have 2 of Johnny's Pridemate, basically. We've got the 4-mana version and the 2-mana version. So yeah, pretty solid stuff here. I'm happy about the pivot in general. So let's see what we have here in terms of mana. 13 white, 9 black. I've got double black on turn 3 and 4, so I don't want to run that much less black sources than white sources, so I think 9-8 is pretty much correct here. Arena did a good. All right. Well, it's not going to be a new strategy, so we've only got 2 more times to draft something I haven't drafted before. But I think it's going to be a solid deck. It could definitely get us to a 4-3 or better, I'm feeling. 4-3 is what I want to hit here. That's my goal with this. Obviously, it was a late pivot. It didn't work out perfectly, so this deck is not as powerful as it could have been for sure, but the strategy was still open enough that we managed to pivot as late as we did and end up with a decent to solid deck. Opponent fabled passages for a mountain. See what they have to follow up. I really like this curve here. If they don't use any removal in the first few turns, I have a Johnny's Pridemate next turn, and then Sunscourge Champion on turn 3. That'll mean on turn 3, Sunscourge Champion triggers, I gain a life, so Pridemate's a 3-3. And then when I go to combat, Leonin Vanguard triggers, I gain a life, so Pridemate's just a 4-4 attacking in on turn 3, if our opponent doesn't use a removal spell or hold up removal here. We'll see, though. They are red, so they are very likely to have little Lightning Bolt type cards. I'd certainly hope not, but we did draw into an Unbreakable Bond to bring a Johnny's Pridemate back later, which is really nice. And a life linking a Johnny's Pridemate is really hilarious too, because then anytime it deals damage, you're gaining life, so it's getting bigger. Super cute. Super cute combo there overall. We'll see what our opponent's got going on. They're starting off with a Dark Dweller Oracle, and they're sending it in, because I think they would love to trade with a Johnny's Pridemate before I can make it any bigger. I am not going to take that trade. And we're certainly not chump blocking with our Vanguard when it gives us a lot of value next turn, gaining life, spitting more counters onto Pridemate. Alright, our opponent has tapped out for Rada, Heart of Keld, and I love that. That means we are getting the incredible 4 damage swing in on turn 3 from our Pridemate. Really fantastic start. And now our Pridemate is big enough to dodge any 3 damage burn spells, of which the cube has a lot of stuff that does 3 damage and not too much that does 4. So Pridemate is now safe from Skewer the Critics, Wizard's Lightning, Precision Bolt, all of that kind of stuff. There's a lot of them. Johnny's Pridemate is not quite safe from a fight spell yet. They could throw like a Hunt the Weak at Rada to make Rada a 4/4 and then have her fight a Johnny. That would kill both creatures because First Strike does not matter when you're fighting. It only matters in actual combat damage. So if they have like Hunt the Weak, a Johnny's Pridemate is safe. There's a Varric's Bladewing, or at least just trades with Rada there. So Varric's Bladewing is just a 4/4 flyer. The extra text is just when it comes into play, so it's not relevant here. Bosri's Lieutenant's a pretty nice draw. Archon of Sun's Grace is pretty sweet here, but I don't think I want to play it as much as I want to play Bosri's Lieutenant, because Bosri's Lieutenant makes it so when a Johnny's Pridemate dies, because a Johnny's Pridemate has a counter on it, I'll be spitting out a 2/2 Vigilant Knight token. And I can also throw another counter onto the Pridemate so I can swing in this turn and not even really worry about it dying, because they'd have to double block to kill it. And then I do have Unbreakable Bond if I hit one more mana. Yeah, I think I'm willing to accept the trade if they go for a double block here. Just because I have Unbreakable Bond also. If they don't have any removal in hand, I think that's the only thing that would get them to double block here. So this also just shows us that they definitely don't have removal. Or at least removal that could kill Pridemate there. So we could be pretty free. If I get another land next turn, I might not even play Pridemate, just Lich's Caress their Rada, because Rada's definitely going to be their best creature in most scenarios, because it can keep drawing lands off the top. So Swarm Shambler and Grumgully come out here. Well, maybe I don't want to Lich's Caress. That is fine. I didn't draw the land anyway, so we'll just drop down our Archon of Sun's Grace. Bosri's Lieutenant is protection from multicolored as well, so Lieutenant gets to keep sending in, and we're still gaining a life every turn off of Leonin Vanguard. So just get that Lieutenant damage in there and drop down our flyer. We'll see what they have here. There was a bit of an argument for not attacking with a Johnny's Pridemate on that turn against the Varric's and the Dark Dweller, but I definitely prefer having sent it in, even knowing that it ended up trading there. Because with green-red, the primary like green-red decks or like green-red ramp, they already have a Rada on board, so we know they can play lands off the top. I just really want to try to like erase the green-red decks. Rather than just make a big booty Pridemate. Because it also gets chump blocked pretty easy in the late game. It's Klothys and Fanatic of Mogis. So when Klothys comes out, she can exile Pridemate from our grave. So we might want to Unbreakable Bond here. Yeah, I'm just going to Unbreakable Bond right now before Klothys can do anything about it. So Pridemate's back. So that's pretty sweet. We can't really send in Lieutenant now that they have a 4/4 Hippo. I think we're just getting it in the sky. Lich's Caress will be really nice next turn. Help clear the field for more attacks. They're down to 10 now, and they have nothing that can block flyers yet. Klothys doesn't have reach, does she? No. So not even Klothys can. Klothys is such a weird name. I always feel like I'm saying it wrong. Just at all times. I'm going to Google that while I'm waiting for my opponent here. Pronunciation. That's what I want. Pretty sure Klothys is pronounced clothes? What? That's the first thing that came up. I hate that. I'm not doing that. Okay, I'm sorry, opponent. Definitely not pronouncing it clothes. Alright, let's, what could they have in hand here? In a red-green deck? I don't know what this is. I'm trying to think what the cube has. Burn Bright, give all attacking creatures +2/+0. Okay, if they have Burn Bright, what do I do? This is protection from multicolors, so just slap that right there. Block a lot of damage. I want Sunscourge Champion to die anyway, so I'll put that there, and then even with Burn Bright, that'll die. Actually, this is a slightly better block, because this kills Grumgully through Burn Bright. Rada wouldn't die if they pump Rada with the 6-mana ability, so we'll do that. Instead, kill Grumgully, kill Swarm Shambler, take 7 maybe? Is this something else entirely? I guess it's nothing yet. Okay. Star of Extinction, they were just going to clear the whole board, so they were like, might as well get an attack in here. Well, that's not awesome. Do I want a 1/3 on this board, or do I want to just get in for 3 lifelink instead? I think a 1/3 is not going to do much, especially because they're going to have a 4/2 out. Let's get speared up, little 3/3. Get in there, knight. Klothys is going to be pretty annoying here. Because they're going to gain a ton of life. There's so much stuff in their graves now that they've cast a Star of Extinction. Star of Extinction, yeah, another one of those cards that fits pretty well into the red-green ramp decks that you really just want to outrace, because if a Star of Extinction comes down on you, like, there goes your entire board. Real brutal turn of events there. I can get rid of Klothys' indestructibility, which is real cute. Do I want to Lich's Caress the Soulscar Mage? If I Lich's Caress the Soulscar Mage, Klothys gets to exile my Sunscourge Champion for my grave next turn, and then I'm not getting it back. And that's a 4/4, so that's like a really relevant body. Eternalize turns them into 4/4 versions. Yeah, I think I just Eternalize the Sunscourge Champion after I send in here. Because a 4/4 body is just much more relevant than a 1/3 body. Sure, they're going to get to exile this from my grave when I discard it to Eternalize. But it's just much less important than the bigger creature. And now we just hold on to the Lich's Caress. We can use that next turn instead to punch through for damage. Oh, or they just get rid of Pridemate. That's a fair choice as well, because, like, we've played an Unbreakable Bond, so it's not unfair for them to... Or it's not out of the question for them to assume that we have Unburial Rites in our deck as well, or just other Reanimator spells like that. Abrade to destroy my Shadow Spear. Okay. That's fine. I don't really need the life gain, and the 2/2 is still big enough to kill any of their blockers. They're going to have a 2 toughness blocker and another 2 toughness blocker. I'm pretty fine with that. Unless our opponent's like really aggressively trying to race us here, I'm not sure. Not sure about blowing up the Shadow Spear. Face Fetters? Shut off 1 blocker? Yeah. Shut off the Fanatic, get in without losing a creature. I get in for 2 here. Soulscar chump blocks the 4/4. And now we just have Lich's Caress for the next creature. So Faith's Fetters, it can't shut off Klothys, because it only shuts off activated abilities. Its activated abilities can't be activated. This is a triggered ability. So an activated ability is an ability that you use like whenever you feel like it. Like, you can pay 1 mana to do this if you want, or like Shadow Spear right there, that's an activated ability. You pay 1 to do that when you want to do that. Or like an ability that you tap it to do something. Triggered abilities are abilities that just happen. Like, at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, you just exile a card from your grave. That just happens at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase. So, or Renata, each creature enters the battlefield with a plus. That just happens. It's not an activated ability. All right, we'll kill their only blocker and send in for 6 here. Was just sort of searching for something to talk about there, because with Lich's Caress, if they were just playing a creature there, game was just pretty much over. Try to find something for some decent commentary that might teach somebody watching a little bit of something if there are some newer players here. I know Arena has drawn in a lot of newer players, so maybe there are players that don't quite know the difference on certain mechanics and stuff yet. But it is good to know. So we are 1 win and no losses in with our white-black Simic deck. We were gonna draft Simic and we ended up white-black. Maybe for the for the thumbnail, I should make all the Simic cards the thumbnail. That way, everybody who clicks on the video and then is watching the draft, once I pivot, they're just like, "What? Like, what is this?" That is probably the one downside about just using card images about the stuff in my deck and the thumbnails, is it does kind of spoil what happens in the draft a little bit. I still think that I don't know, I think they're not a lot light. I can't speak. I think that the thumbnails are a lot nicer looking with like a few cards from the deck to like show off cards that are actually getting played in the video and like the sort of strategies, so you know what you're getting into a little bit. And yeah, I think the aesthetic's pretty nice in general. So I don't think that I'll do that. I think I want to keep doing all of the a few cards in the thumbnail of every video. I just don't like that it kind of spoils how their draft goes. That's the only thing that's a little sad about it. There's no way to do it without spoiling. It's like I want people to know what kind of strategy I'll be playing so they know that this is like sort of a guide to show off how I sort of draft that strategy. But then at the same time, I know that some people watching just kind of want to see another draft of the format. They don't want to know exactly what's going to happen. I don't know. If this doesn't get hexproof, I'm throwing face fetters on it. Oh no. And then I draw Archon of Sun's Grace, so if I wait a turn, I get a 2/2 Pegasus. How lucky are they is the question. Oh, it has reach already, so I can't attack in this turn if I don't face fetters. How many different kinds of counters are there? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 9 other counters that it does not have yet, other than the reach counter. So there's a 1 in 9 chance that it gets hexproof if I pass to them. I got this. Trust me. Watch, I got this. Nothing ever goes wrong. We're gonna get our 2/2 Pegasus. They're just gonna use a removal spell on our Archon of Sun's Grace anyway, and it'll be the saddest. It'll be the saddest turn of events ever. They're gonna use removal on the Archon of Sun's Grace, and Mecha Godzilla will get hexproof, and it will be the most embarrassing turn. I'm really good at jinxing myself. I'm just setting the table here for a wonderful dinner. Okay. Just Death Touch. Well, we can definitely Faith's Fetters Mecha Godzilla next turn, then. I think there's no way they attack, right? No, they just play an aerial responder. Alright, sweet. It all worked out. Get out of here, Mecha Godzilla. Sit down. Be humble. Alright, so 2/3 Flying Vigilance Lifelink. I definitely sent him with this one. I think if I send him with my 2/3, I'm just letting them gain 2 life. That seems really pointless. Yeah, because they just block there and gain 2, whereas if I just attack here, they just don't block and take 3. This is just actively doing less damage by sending that in. So let's just send in the Archon. I think Basri's Lieutenant is probably going to be throwing a counter on the Ardenvale Tactician. With Sunscourge Champion in hand, I'm actually going to hold on to this land. Because I don't have that many 5-mana cards, and if I draw a 5-mana card, I'll just play this land. With Sunscourge Champion, I might want to discard this card to bring it back later. It's pretty much the only card in my deck that I think requires a discard. But since I have it in hand, might as well hold on to the land. Alright. Archon of Sun's Grace from my opponent as well. Well, this will probably be a long game. They can't really attack in with the aerial responder because I can block with 2 flyers to kill it. Okay, well, that is an incredible draw. I do have a decent bit of removal in here. If you count 3 as a decent bit. Is that all I actually have? That's all I can think of right now. Faith's Fetters, Lich's Caress, Banishing Light, and Erebos' Intervention. Okay, I've got 4 removal spells that can kill pretty much anything. So yeah, that's pretty decent. For Tinkerer's Cube, that's decent. This cube does not have that much removal, I feel. Alright. Well, I definitely don't have a way to get rid of their sigil, so they can absolutely spit out some flying angels, so we might be racing a bit here. I think I am back on the plan of throwing a +1/+1 counter onto the Ardenvale Tactician to get in against the aerial responder. Maybe I want it on my lifelinker instead. I don't really need more life, so I feel like I might want a 3/4 more than a 3/3. Because I'm already going to be outracing them in life total, like, heavily. And I can just throw a lifelink counter onto Ardenvale Tactician if I really want. Probably just playing Splendor Mare on the ground. I'm going to throw it on the lifelinker. Because this also lets me hold a 2/3 flying blocker back instead of a 2/2 flyer back. Because if I hold just a 2/2 flyer back, I can't block when they attack in to gain life. So now I can block. This is actually just gaining a lot more life than just throwing the counter on the Tactician. My chair is very squeaky and old. My apologies. I have like this chair that I have, I've been using for years, so it has gotten old and squeaky, but I recently got, probably a year ago, like a racer chair, like the gaming racing chair. They're not comfortable, in my opinion. So I kind of regret it. Well, this turn has gone really bad for me. They've played 2 enchantments with a Sigil of the Empty Throne out, which means that they get 2 4/4 Flying Angels. The only thing I could have had in my deck that could stop this at all would have been if I'd drawn Banishing Light. Without Banishing Light, there's nothing I can do about Sigil of the Empty Throne, because again, that is a triggered ability, so I can't even shut that off with Faith's Fetters if I hadn't have had to use Faith's Fetters on Mechagodzilla. Our opponent is down to 12, but the flyers are an issue. So I have a Johnny's Pride Mate now, so maybe that can get big enough to try to crack through at some point, but it's definitely not big enough now. I think I am going to play Sunscourge Champion here to put Pride Mate to at least a 3/3, and then we just pass. I definitely can't attack into 4/4s with the current size of my field. Our opponent has 3 cards in their hand. What secrets have you now? I don't think they're even attacking. I think this is going to be a long game. Unless they play a few more enchantments, I think they just sit here and hold off my field. Path of Bravery could convince them otherwise, because now they gain life every time they attack. Oh, good lord. Path of Bravery and Veto? Now they're definitely attacking. Veto dealing damage to me whenever they gain life. This is all around pretty awful. They have 4 blockers. If I attack with everybody next turn, they block there, and they block there, and they take 1, 2, 3. No, they have 4 blockers. They block 4 things. Why did I only count out 2? 1, 2, 3, 4. They take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're definitely not all attacking next turn. I don't think I can double block, but then I lose the Archon. I think I hold off a bit longer. Maybe I can hit Banishing Light. This is looking really bad here. Again, they have a 4/4 flyer up. I can't attack in. If I attack in with my flyers, I lose Archon, and Ardenvale just pings off the through responder. The aerial responder. I get counters on Pridemate, but even that's not enough. Maybe I attack with Sunscourge Champion and just let them kill it, and I bring it back from the grave. If I attack with this, though, they can just block with aerial responder, gain 2 life, and have me lose 2 life with Vito's ability. Uh-oh. Yeah. This is a rough one. This is just, they have run us out of removal and have now assembled more terrifying combos. Actually, I mean, it's really just the Sigil. We just don't have removal to get rid of Sigil. There's one card in our deck that can do it. Definitely a game for the Sigil here. But even if they didn't have the Sigil, Vito and Thassa would be really scary, and they have run us out of removal for those because they had a really threatening card of Mecha Godzilla and then the really threatening Archon of Sun's Grace. Oh my god, Thassa can just bring back Mecha Godzilla now. They choose the Ram, though. Okay. It's not casting the Ram, so they don't get another 4/4 flyer. But I guess they thought it was. That's about the only thing I could think of for why you would bounce the Ram. Be if you thought you could get another Angel. Sigil of the Empty Throne triggers when you cast spells, not when they enter the battlefield, but Archon of Sun's Grace triggers when they enter the battlefield, not when you cast them. So, it can be a little confusing having both those cards in your deck. You can definitely get them mixed up. I'm just going to let it through here. I mean... Am I... No, we'll still fight our hardest. I could kill one of the Angels if I throw a lifelink counter onto Ardenvale Tactician. Because then I'm going to 17 life and taking 15. I think I just stop more damage, though. But there's nothing in our deck that can save us, so it's just going through the motions. If they had the second black to use the lifelink ability on Vito, we would just be dead like turns ago. Angel of Vitality from our opponent. Yep, now they return the Mecha Godzilla, get rid of the face fetters. Oh, that's rude of you, Banishing Light. That's really rude of you. I would have preferred if you just didn't show up all game. I think if we had Banishing Light, either the turn they played the Sigil or the turn after they played it, even if they only got like 2 Angels out of it, I think we'd still be able to stabilize maybe if we could stop them after the first 2 Angels. But yeah, Banishing Light after we've already lost all our flyers. Way to show up. Fashionably late. Banishing Light's too good for us, I guess. So we're at 1 win and 1 loss, right? Again, these games do blend together really quickly for me. And I'm always a little frazzled mentally, so who knows? Not the greatest short or long-term memory. We've played some amount of games. I know I've won at least 1 game, and I've lost at least 1. I think it's just been 2 games here. And here is our next opponent. Alright, well... Nothing on turn 2. So a bit of a slow hand, but we've got interaction against our opponent's stuff. With Banishing Light. Probably gonna end up Banishing Lighting the Sarah Ascendant. Definitely gonna Ardenvale Tactician it, because I'm pretty likely to just play Ardenvale Tactician rather than Dizzying Swoop later. Sit down, Sarah Ascendant. You need to chill. You need to chill for a moment. I guess I don't need to Banishing Light it immediately. I can let them gain a little more life, so we'll play the Tactician and then just block it next turn. I think they still attack. I mean, I'm tapped out. So you just still attack with the Ascendant to gain a couple more life, get closer to the 30 life you need to give it +5/+5 in flying. Yeah, their field is really just a Sarah Ascendant and a bunch of little baby tokens. Well, I guess, yeah, they got a +1/+1 equipment out there. So they're closer to making Sarah Ascendant a big. Do I think they're going to have a way to gain 3 life before they attack? It's probably better safe than sorry. But I also just want to get another blocker out. I guess if I'm shutting off Ascendant, then they only have 2 1/1s, so I should probably just shut off Ascendant. And I'm going to use Faith's Fetters, because it can't hit it can't hit everything, I mean. Whereas Banishing Light can't hit everything, so it's just the better card. Maybe I should have just held off with Tactician there so that they can't attack me with a 1/1 and a 2/2 and put me down to 15. But I'm not that scared. I'm also a life gain deck. I've got a 3/3 lifelinker coming out that's going to block really well. And Twin Blade Paladin's going to be really big, and a Grey Merchant to drain them some life later. Yeah, I like a Tumor Exarch here. See what's in their hand, and then I have a 2/2 blocker, so they can't send in with the 1/1. It also gets me more devotion for Grey Merchant Fast Fidel next turn, if I want to do that, and I kind of do. I want to see what they have going on, because I'm a little scared. On Sarah's Wings. Well, I'm glad I did that. That's going in the trash. Reverent Hoplite. Just going to make them a bunch of 1/1s. I only get to get rid of non-creature things here, so... Alright, they get to transformation one of my creatures into a 3/3. Luckily, these cards will remain revealed, thanks to Arena. It's going to show me what's coming up here, so I can keep that in mind. They are scrying off of their Omen of the Sun now. Both are going to the bottom. I'm guessing they're like just trying to hit their 5th land so they can play the Reverent Hoplite. They've got a bunch of little 1/1 soldiers to send in. All that glitters. Well, that's a good draw. I think it's time to kill a token. Alright, well, we get to kill a token now and kill the other token next turn. Seems good. Get all of them out of here. Yep, and now I've got the mana to play Splendor Mare also. Pretty cool. And if you exile a token with Banishing Light, because it's a token, it doesn't remain in exile. If a token would go anywhere other than the battlefield, it's just gone forever. It just ceases to exist. So even if they destroy Banishing Light, nothing comes back to their field. Heliod's Pilgrim. Search for any aura, put it into their hand. We'll have to see what other scary auras they have. We already got rid of all that glitters and on Sarah's Wings. So maybe they have Mantle of the Wolf, but otherwise, yeah, I was going to say otherwise, they're probably just grabbing removal like Pacifism or Faith's Fetters. And they did grab a Faith's Fetters. I think I'd play Pridemate first, and then they probably cast Faith's Fetters on it. I guess they have Cather's Transformation and Faith's Fetters now, so they can shut off a Johnny's Pridemate and Twin Blade Paladin. That's a little sad. I think I still play Pridemate first. Oh, I could play both here? Oops. Should have played both. Did not realize I had enough mana yet. Mildly embarrassing, but we're still definitely dropping down the Twin Blade Paladin post-combat then. They can only get rid of one of them per turn. Face Fetters on Pridemate means that they're going to use Kenrith's Transformation on Twin Blade Paladin. Seems fair, but Twin Blade Paladin's going to get in for a really nice attack this turn. If I Erebos' Intervention, that I hit for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, just 11, because I'm gaining 1 life before that sends in. Yeah, I'm just playing Grey Merchant then. They take it all down to 5. Another land. There's Kendra's Transformation on Twin Blade Paladin, so now it stops getting +1/+1 counters. And then a Core Spirit Dancer. So we should be able to just attack in for lethal. But I'll Erebos' Intervention just to make super sure it's mega lethal. And there we are. 2 wins and 1 loss, I believe. Again, I'm not entirely certain. We'll see the record when we get out of the game. 2 wins and 1 loss. There we go. My brain works sometimes. Ooh, immediately into another game there. That was the fastest queue. Let's go. I don't love this hand, because again, nothing on turn 1 or turn 2, so it's a bit slow. Alright, now I'm a little scared. I was going to say, but hopefully our opponent is not that aggressive. But Pelt Collector, if they play a 2-mana 3/1 or a 2-mana 3/2 this turn, we're in for a real beating. Alright, they did not have any of that stuff, so we're just taking 1 on turn 1. Maybe we're taking 2 damage on turn 2, but we're pretty safe to try to stabilize after that, especially with Banishing Light as a draw. That's really nice. We have a Lich's Caress to destroy something and gain some life. Got a lot of really nice stuff coming up, so I'm not that scared now. Pelt Collector was just a really scary start, because Pelt Collector can lead into really brutal starts in this cube. There are a lot of 2-mana 3/1s, 2-mana 3/2 kind of things, like I had in my last Golgari deck. And Pelt Collector into one of those would be just a lot of damage really quickly. So we're going to drop down our 3/3 Lifelinker, and if they don't have any removal, that pretty much gets Pelt Collector to stop attacking here. Plus it starts attacking in and gaining 3 life a turn. It only takes 1 hit from Splendor Mare to put us back to basically 20. Of course, with Kroxa will be doing 3 damage to us, because we are definitely discarding a land here. I've got enough lands, even discarding an extra one, to cast everything in my hand. So we're definitely hitting a land and not something else. Pelt Collector did go up to 3/3, because Pelt Collector does combo really well with Titans as well, because Titans come into play and then sacrifice themselves. So this came into play as a 6-power creature, which gave a +1/+1 counter to Pelt Collector, and then died as a 6-power creature and did it again. Kind of like Entomber Exarch here, but Archon of Sun's Grace is also solid. I want to Entomber Exarch first so I know if they have any removal in hand for Archon. And if they do, I'll just get rid of the removal. Let's see what they have. We could also see if they have any creatures in hand that would make Pelt Collector even larger. And if they do, we might actually want to attack with Splendor Mare and offer the trade. They have an Azoni, a Village Rites, and a couple lands. So they need just 1 more green or black source and they can cast Azoni. So getting rid of a land, I don't think that's going to stop them from casting Azoni. Then they'll only have 5 lands in hand, but they only have to draw into 1 more, and it could be any land and they could do it. So we're just going to get rid of Village Rites. And I don't think I'm actually attacking with Splendor Mare then, because they don't have anything that's going to make Pelt Collector any bigger until they can escape Kroxa, and they need 5 other cards to do that. I guess they only have 2 creatures in their grave too. Well, Dawn Treader Elk will make that 3. Never mind. So Ozoni will be pretty threatening. Ozoni will come into play with 3... I'm really trying to zoom in on Ozoni. There we go. Ozoni will Undergrowth come to play with 3 1/1 insects. They can sacrifice to gain life and draw cards. So Ozoni will be pretty threatening. But we know they don't have removal, so I think we just play Archon. Sure. Would be nice to have one more white source so I could play Leonin Vanguard and Archon. But alas, I do not. Still don't want to offer the trade with the Pelt Collector. Pelt Collector would be another creature in their grave for Ozoni's Undergrowth. So they're getting some more value off of it that way as well. I'm assuming Ozoni's coming out this turn. This song reminds me so much of the Kingdom Hearts Colosseum music, and I hate it for that. As the song completely stops, but earlier there's that part where it goes like doo 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 doo. That sounds so similar to the Kingdom Hearts Colosseum song to me. Anyways, we're going to Banishing Light Ozoni now, so they can't draw more cards. And so I can get a Pegasus. We could Lich's Caress it too, but then I'm not getting a Pegasus to fly over with, which I think is really important on this board state. I'm actually just going to hold on to this Leonin Vanguard because it doesn't actually do anything for me here. They've got plenty of ground blockers. I'm not going to be sending it on the ground, so just in case they have Star of Extinction or Sweltering Suns or Find/Finality, all of those would just clear out the board. Well, I'm gonna Lich's Caress Lord of Extinction. I expect them to be the kind of deck that has a lot of Reanimator spells, so I don't know how long that'll last, but I think I'm gonna do that. Let's double block on Pelt Collector here. We'll lose Splendor Mare, but we get to keep our 2/2 to hold off all their 1/1s. And they definitely have enough cards in grave to escape Kroxa now, which is a pretty big threat, but we're trying to just outrace them with flyers that also gain life, so I think we'll be fine overall. Just get out of here, Lord of Extinction. I will play Leonin Vanguard now, because with a Kroxa coming out from our opponent, I actually want all of the life I can get. I'll take 1 extra life a turn. That being said, our opponent is probably going to just immediately Starve Extinction now. That will be very sad. Revival on Pelt Collector. Alright. So now when they resurrect Kroxa, that's getting a bunch of counters. Alright, we just drew the Erebos' intervention to get rid of Kroxa. I need 1 more mana to do it, but that should come soon enough that Kroxa won't be a problem. Just get in there in the sky for lethal. Next turn we have 7 points of flying damage, so they have to draw into removal immediately as well. We can also just exile the Kroxa from their grave, I just realized. There's no reason to do that, because unless they hit removal, they just die this turn anyway. But that's something we can do if they find a piece of removal here to use on our stuff. Then we can just be like, alright, let's just get rid of all your escape cards. Let's see if they get the removal. Dreadhorde Butcher does not work. Dreadhorde Butcher can kill Leonin Vanguard. They can like play it, sacrifice it to Oracle, kill Vanguard, and try 1 more time for removal. Try to draw Deadweight for a single black. That could be a thing. Pay green. Yep. They probably have like Deadweight in their deck then if they're playing this way. Did not draw into the Deadweight, just a Fiend Artisan, so that will be game with 7 flying damage coming at them next turn. Gonna mill themselves some more. Command the Dread Horde and some stuff. And they hit a land. Alright, my turn. Send in with the Flyers. They've got no cards in hand, so that will end round 4. With 3 wins and 1 loss for our Simic Black-White deck. I'll just keep calling it that every time. Alright, pretty solid run so far. I'm only 1 win away from my goal of just a 4-3 deck, or 4-3 win for this deck. I think the deck's solid, but it's not anything exciting. It reminds me pretty similarly of the power level of my Golgari deck a couple drafts ago, where we didn't really get Golgari Self-Mill or Golgari Reanimator, we just got Golgari good stuff. This is like White-Black Life Gain with just a couple of the payoffs, just a Johnny's Pridemate and the 4 mana 3/3 version that can get double strike, the Twin Blade Paladin. And I guess mildly an enchantment theme with the Archon and a couple enchantment-based removal spells. Not a huge one, though. Well, this hand is just removal, Banishing Light, Lich's Caress. I'm still going to keep it. I've got all my colors, I've got spells to play that are powerful spells, even if they're just powerful at shutting off my opponent's plays. Our game plan here is to just win over the course of a long game with like Unbreakable Bond and Grey Merchant. I don't know. Maybe this was worth a mulligan because it doesn't really do anything. It just stops our opponent. We got to draw into something to do something here. We're definitely going to Banishing Light Pridemate turn 3. Archon of Sun's Grace. You make me not want to Banishing Light Pridemate turn 3. If I don't do it, though, I'm just taking so much damage. I take 4 minimum if they play any other life gain. Taking like a bajillion million. Because, yeah, the thing is, I'm not playing Banishing Light this turn or next turn if I'm trying to get a Pegasus off the Archon here. So I have to just Banishing Light now. I'm sorry, my Pegasi friends. You are glorious. And you will be missed. Maybe next round. Our opponent is on Esper. Curiosity on Healer's Hawk. Well, start drawing a card every turn. All that glitters on Healer's Hawk. Definitely going for the Lich's Caress on that next turn. If I hit the mana for it, I really want to hit the mana for it. I suppose if I don't, if they didn't draw removal, they can't attack in this turn. 4 toughness is higher than 3 power. Got my big booty Archons over here. Bring it, Hawk. Three cards in hand. They have 4 mana up. Please don't. Please don't. No. Well, at least they can't do that on my Banishing Light now, so they can't get their Pridemate back with that. We did hit the land. We're just going to do the thing. Leave this board, Healer's Hawk. Get out of here. It's turn 5. Why are you still here? 1 mana, 1/1s. 2 really good abilities on that one, though. Healer's Hawk is sick. Oh no. It's time for the draw-go matchup. I guess there's no board stall here or anything, but I am concerned by my opponent just having 3 cards in hand, all mana untapped, and then just saying go, and then not having a counterspell after that either. I don't know what is going on. I don't think it could be Flood, because they went first, right? They went first, so if it was Flood, they should have 7 mana, right? Maybe I went first. I just forgot. Alright, enter the God Eternals. Maybe it's a hand of just removal. I don't think I'm going to Unbreakable Bond my Grey Merchant. I think I'll just play Twin Blade Paladin and suit it up with a Shadow Spear. If they kill Twin Blade Paladin, then I'll Unbreakable Bond on Twin Blade Paladin. Could you imagine if we get to 25 life and then this is a double striking, lifelinking Twin Blade Paladin? Double strike, lifelink, trampling Twin Blade Paladin. Ooh, a kick to Null Priest of Oblivion, return any creature from their grave. They have milled themselves off of the Enter the God Eternals to pick up a Skycat Sovereign. Very impressive. That gives them a really powerful mana sink to try to take over this game with. I do have a lifelinking, trampling Twin Blade Paladin though, so hopefully that is equally impressive, or will be over time. I might want to Unbreakable Bond Grey Merchant here. I don't think I do, but maybe. They can't block Twin Blade Paladin well, so I'm dealing 4 to them and gaining 4. I guess there's no possible way I'm going to end up with more life than them, unless I Unbreakable Bond Grey Merchant. Unbreakable Bond Archon actually is pretty nice too. I don't have any more enchantments in hand though. Stops their flyers from attacking? Yeah, that would be a 4/5. Sure. I mean, it is redundant to give Archon lifelink again, but now I can throw my Shadow Spear onto it, and it'll be a 4/5 blocker. And I can just keep moving the spear back and forth between when I'm attacking and when I'm blocking. So they can't send in the 4/4 against that. That seems really solid. I guess Grey Merchant with a spear on it would also be a 3/5. Which is big enough to block the 4/4, but it wouldn't kill it on the block. Plus it wouldn't have flying, so it doesn't block any of the Skycat stuff. I think Archon is better here, even if I don't draw into an enchantment. Okay, I was about to say, prove it. Dead weight me. If I put Shadow Spear onto Twin Blade Paladin, it's a 5/5. Their only way to kill it is to block with their 4/4 and their flying token. But they could kill it. And then Skycat Sovereign just does things. Do I just attack with the Archon here? Yeah, if I attack with everybody, I think they double block Twin Blade Paladin with a token and their 4/4 token. I guess with 2 tokens in that sense. Should have just left the equipment on Archon of Sun's Grace until then, but I was not sure what I was attacking with until that point. Should have done all the math beforehand. Gained 1 more life there. Contentious Plan. That is annoying. Throwing another counter onto their 4/4, making it a 5/5. So now Twin Blade Paladin again is going to have trouble attacking in. Maybe I should have attacked with both there and just tried to push up to like 25 life for Twin Blade Paladin's other ability. But I don't think I would have pushed up to 25 because they would have just traded with the 4/4 and the 1/1. So I guess even if I did, Twin Blade Paladin would be gone before it's getting double strike. If I could draw a Faith's Fetters, that would be absolutely beautiful. That would actually be kind of absurd here, because I could just throw it on Skycat Sovereign, spit out a Pegasus, gain 4 to help Twin Blade Paladin get bigger. That would just be a massive, massive draw. I think that's the best draw in our deck at this point. See what we do draw into. Another land. I only need to hold on to 1 of these. I could hold on to more just to try to scare my opponent, but... So as a 6/6, they can block... They can actually block with their 5/5 and their 3/3, and I only get to kill 1 of them. I could kill the Skycat Sovereign if I do that, though. which is maybe worth it. I again just don't think I'm attacking him with the Twin Blade Paladin though. Let's actually properly suit up our Archon this time. They can kill it if they triple block, but then I kill their token producer, their Skycat Sovereign. So I'm 100% fine with that trade. And I have Trample, so if they're not killing it, I doubt they're blocking at all. Oh, wow. Oh, I actually love this. Because I only have like one more card in my deck that's going to spit out a Pegasus out of the Archon, whereas the Skycat Sovereign making these 1/1 birds is like a huge problem. Alright. Doomed Necromancer, so they can bring back the Skycat Sovereign. They don't get to bring it back immediately, though. They gotta wait a turn. And there's a Seeker's Squire to draw more. And now they have a lot of creatures on the board to block my 7/7. They've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 power on their board. Basically no way my Twin Blade Paladin survives an attack. And I have no other cards in hand that matter, so we've got to draw something pretty great here, I think. Blood Artist is not bad at all. But I don't think Blood Artist does it for me right now. Because I just play Blood Artist and then I still can't attack because they can block with a 5/5 and a 2/3 and I only get to kill one of those. I just kill the 5/5. I drain them life when I do that, but then I'm sitting there with just a Blood Artist on board against their quite large field. I mean, I can double block Null Priest now, but I'd be trading Blood Artist for the Null Priest, so I don't love it. They do just send in the flyer. I think it would be worth the double block if they did end up attacking with the Null Priest, because it would push me up to the 25 life for double strike on Twin Blade Paladin. Oh yeah, that would absolutely be worth the double block, never mind. Opponent definitely made a good choice not attacking with Null Priest there. Alright, what do we draw? A Seeker Squire of our own. What secrets have you for me today? Path of Bravery. I don't think that actually does very much for me on this board state. I'm gonna throw that in the grave. Okay. Now what happens if I attack with Twin Blade Paladin? They trade it for their 5/5 and I guess they block with the 5/5, the Seeker Squire, and the Null Priest of Oblivion, and then I trade for just the 5/5 and the Null Priest, or the 5/5 and the Seeker Squire. They could block with the 5/5 and the Skycat Sovereign as well. I don't have a good attacks here. I just do not. That'll do it. That was my biggest fear that game. Is like with Skycat Sovereign, plus with it coming back, they really just need to hit one removal spell and I'm out of the game, because we're entirely on Twin Blade Paladin there. Tumor Exarch. Bring back Archon of Sun's Grace. Or Grey Merchant. I guess Archon of Sun's Grace, so I get something to block their flyers. We're definitely not making them discard a card. They've got one card in hand. I don't expect it to be particularly relevant. Whereas the Archon of Sun's Grace is pretty relevant getting a flying blocker out on this board. Of course, it's not big enough to block the Skycat Sovereign, so they now get to start attacking with just that. Punching in for all that damage. They pass. Interesting. Well, I'm going to pass 2. Because I'm definitely not attacking my 3-4 into their 5-5. Even... oh my god. Alright, well, we're super dead. Even with a Blood Artist on the board, they're at 31 life, so we're not just throwing creatures away to try to drain them out. That's incredibly lethal. I have 4 blocks, I gained 3, I'm at 10. 1, 2, 3, 4. I take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I guess it's not technically lethal, but it kills like my whole board, so it might as well be. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I gain 3. This I survive and I get to keep one of my creatures. I don't know why I double blocked that though. Shouldn't do that for sure. There, I survive and I keep 2 creatures. We did the math. This is probably the best block. I went through the motions. I accidentally minimized Arena as well. Oh, it's worth noting I'm completely forgetting Skycat Sovereign's ability. Spit out another flyer and do exact lethal. Alright, well, that was not the best blocks, but we didn't have anything in our deck to get out of that anyway. Alright, 3-2 it is. Hopefully this next game is not the last game. I'd love to get to 4-3 with this deck. That's what I'm hoping for. But even a 3-3 run, it's perfectly fine. It's an average, even run. My chair's being loud again. Could round out the cube drafts with some nice, chill 3-3 runs. I certainly can't complain with how my record has been in the previous drafts. Alright. I like this. Shadowspear and Blood Artist are both very powerful cards. They don't combo together well, so this hand is not perfect. It's pretty awkward, but we've got really powerful stuff. We just need to draw support pieces for them. If I draw into like a Johnny's Primate or something, this hand could be absolutely brutal. Ooh, opponent's on blue-green so far, which is cool. Yes! Blood Artist getting in for damage. A rare sight, but a welcome one. Champion of Wits. 2-1. Eternalizes as a 4-2. Oh my... This would be incredibly flavorful to lose to this deck. I actually really want to lose to this deck now. Because my opponent's on blue-green, and they played the Champion of Wits, the first blue card that I drafted in this video. This would be Revenge of the Simic. This is just Simic coming and being like, really? You're gonna abandon me for that? You're gonna abandon me for the white-black life gain deck? Come on, get out of here. This is just, yeah, this would be on theme to lose this game. So I'm playing Archon over Entomber Exarch. It might be a little bit of a bold play, but in green-blue, I feel like they're less likely to have something to immediately kill the Archon because a lot of their removal would be fighting-based or temporary, like returning it to my hand. If I were playing against black or red, I'd probably just play Entomber Exarch first, so I get to screw with their hand and make sure they don't have the removal. But yeah, I don't think we had to play it safe there. So Ashiok and Castle Garenbrig. I guess I'm getting rid of Ashiok. I can keep them from 5 mana if I get rid of that land, and they can't Mesmerizing Benthid me, but that just plays a bunch of ground blockers. I'm not really attacking on the ground anyway. I think I just want to get rid of Ashiok because they are annoying. I definitely don't want to get with Ashiok. That was certainly a misspeak. They're too freaky. Rashmi, Patient Rebuilding. Triggering Rashmi, allowing them to cast the top card if it costs 4 or less. But it's just a land, so they'll just draw it. Well, I can Dazzling Swoop all those creatures down, which is cute. Could also just play Emissary of Sunrise. Do we just do the cute play? Sure. Let's be cute here. Get in some extra damage. Woo! And now I'm definitely playing the flyer so that I can get in for extra damage next turn. We're gonna throw the spear onto my Ardenvale Tactician, so we're attacking for 6 in the sky each turn, and hopefully 2 attacks from these 2 will just end the game. They do have a Merfolk Skydiver that we know about, but that's only gonna be big enough to chump block unless they get enough mana to play it and proliferate it in the same turn. So they play Mesmerizing Benthid, so I can't attack on the ground. But as I said before, we are on that flying game plan here to outrace their mill. They have a Glasspool Mimic, a Glasspool Mimic as well coming up that copies any of their creatures. So they can copy Mesmerizing Benthid and just have a million bajillion blockers on the ground. So we're definitely getting the Flyers suited up and going in. Seeker Squire and Emissary of Sunrise. Alright, you guys both don't really matter, so let's suit up the Ardenvale Tactician. Get in there in the skies. Even if they chump block, they are taking a damage from Blood Artist. Alright, down to 4. I'll play the slightly bigger Explorer card, I guess, in terms of power. No, and we explored into a land, so we get to just play them both. Path of Bravery. Yeah, I'll keep that. My whole field gets +1/+1. Oh. Oh. Alright, well, I totally forgot about Patient Rebuilding, but playing around Patient Rebuilding with an Explore card, just always keep them on top, because we're trying to not get milled, so we don't want to mill ourselves one by throwing them in the graveyard. My brain just auto-defaulted it to doing it like scrying or something, where it's like, do I want this on top or bottom? No, our opponent's just getting rid of our top cards every turn anyway, so it doesn't matter. Alright. That's bad. They got the mana to be able to play their clone as another Merfolk Skydiver, and they have the mana to proliferate so that they're both 3/3s. I don't think that's not good enough to save them yet because of Blood Artist. They could put 1 3/3 on each of my flying attackers, but then they just don't take that damage, but they still take Blood Artist damage, which would be 2. Alright, drawing into Blood Snare? Bubble Snare is pretty good for them, but drawing into Banishing Light is pretty good for me. Yeah, I spit out a Pegasus when I do this as well. I could exile Patient Rebuilding. I don't think I do that here. I think I just shut off one of their flyers. Spit out another flying token. We're still on that game plan. They're at 4 life and I have Blood Artist on the field. Let's just send in with everybody and stuff will die and I probably just kill them off of Blood Artist. They don't have First Strike, right? I almost definitely just kill them off of Blood Artist, I think, if I send in with everybody. If there's some way that this blows up in my face, we'll see it. Yeah, no, that's lethal. We're already at lethal to them with the amount of creatures dying. Yeah, we're good. Suppose they are changing things a lot here, so maybe we're not good. Let's see, I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I do 5 to them right now. Now I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I still do 5. We're good. Blood Artist counts itself, right? Yeah, Blood Artist counts itself. Super lethal. Blood Artist is a ridiculous card. The fact that you can send it into a chump attack like that, and like it sees everything around it dying at the same time that it dies, is so powerful. So we did make it to the 4 wins. We made it to the goal. We're 4-3 at least. Feels good. Feels pretty good. White-black Simic. Putting in work today. Alright, Ashiok. Bring it on. I got a turn 2 Seeker Squire and then a turn 4 Basri's Lieutenant, so if I get a +1/+1 counter on this Seeker Squire, it's gonna look like I knew what I was doing when I built this deck. That'll be pretty cool. I think opponent is still choosing whether they want to keep or mulligan. Yeah, let's Erebos' Intervention for 0 here. It's obviously the play. Swamp from our opponent, okay. Johnny's Pridemate turn 2 now. Do I have any relevant life gain? No. I'm definitely going to play Seeker Squire first. I don't want to throw a Pridemate out without a way to immediately make it bigger. Because I don't want it out on the board sitting here just completely open to any removal unless it's getting good. That being said, if I'm not going to play anything else this turn anyway, do I want to throw an Erebos' Intervention at this if they block? Kind of, but also Piper of the Storm's kind of slow, and Pridemate gets bigger later if I use Erebos' Intervention after I have Pridemate on board, so I guess I'm just playing Pridemate there. But yeah, I would like to play Pridemate after all my other creatures if I don't have ways to make it bigger, but I'm still going to play it rather than just not playing a creature at that point. Tybalt? Alright, well, we're just going to exile Tybalt most likely. Those devils are going to be annoying. Really hope we hit a plains. That would be beautiful. Never didn't have it. That's really good. Could Basri's Lieutenant... If I Basri's Lieutenant, what do I do here? Probably put a token on Pridemate, send both at Tybalt. Then what? They block Pridemate with a 1/3 and a 1/1. I kill the 1/3, they kill Pridemate, but I get a 2/2 Vigilance out of it, and I put Tybalt to 1. You know, that actually seems pretty sick. It's a really weird line because most games you want to just keep making your Pridemate as big as possible with all the life gain, but I'm having a lot of fun just aggressively throwing my Pridemate at my opponents. Alright, I don't understand that block. I guess if they have removal for Basri's Lieutenant, then that block makes sense. Because then they can kill Basri's Lieutenant, so I won't be getting any 2/2s out of the deal. It does seem a little weird to me generally, though, to not want to just kill Pridemate as soon as possible. Even with a Tybalt on board, they know Tybalt's not going to last forever. See what they have in hand now. What's coming down this turn?
The more, the messier.
Tybalt is down to 1 loyalty. They are spitting out another devil token with him. There's a Priest of Forgotten Gods, so they can sacrifice 2 other creatures to make us sacrifice a creature, and they will draw a card and get 2 mana. And we lose 2 life. So Priest is going to be annoying. They've got plenty of options to sacrifice for the Priest. Could Dizzying Swoop, and then I can definitely kill Tybalt, and then I can Erebos' Intervention for 1 on something. But then the Priest is going to make us sacrifice something. But with Basri's Lieutenant on the field and a Seeker's Squire to sacrifice, that's not that bad. Yeah, I kind of like Dizzying Swoop, just get Tybalt out of the way. For the Archon, what do I tap down if I Dizzying Swoop here? Probably the 3/1 and the 1/3. They could block a Johnny's Pridemate with Priest and the 1/1 to kill it. But as I said before, like that's fine, because then we spit out a token and we're getting rid of some moderately important creatures. So they probably just aren't going to block at all here. But if they want to kill one of our creatures, they can block in a way to kill one. All right.
Fine then.
Now I can Erebos' Intervention their Devil token, so that once the Priest can use its ability, they have to sacrifice actually decent creatures or play more creatures to sacrifice. Could also hit the Rage Hound instead. Or I could hold on to this to get rid of the Priest later. I think I'm just going to get rid of the Rage Hound. Throws a counter on the Pridemate as well. I think this seems solid. So they could spend 2, tap the Piper, make a rat, sacrifice a rat and a devil to use the thing. Then I sacrifice Seeker Squire and just get a 2/2 Vigilance. So that's pretty fine. I think we're playing Archon next turn, and then we are definitely wanting to roll into Banishing Light on the Priest of Forgotten Gods, but worst case scenario, if they do play some more creatures on this board, I guess we have to just Banishing Light Priest of the Forgotten Gods, like now. So it doesn't just keep doing its thing every turn. But I suppose I have a 2/3 to sacrifice right now. I'll have a 2/2 Vigilance to sacrifice next turn. I'll have mediocre creatures to sacrifice to it for a small amount of time. Definitely sacking the 2/3. Helm of the Host. Well, that makes me want instant speed removal, so I'm definitely a little sad about having used Erebos' Intervention for that. For the fact that that is here now. I could Banishing Light that, though. What happens if I just let them suit that onto something next turn? What do they put it on? Priest of Forgotten Gods? And then they have... It costs 5 mana to do. Yeah, that doesn't do anything scary immediately, because it costs 5 to do. So they won't have enough mana to, like, do that and a bunch of other stuff. They could do that and get 2 mana out of it, but they'd be sacrificing 2 other creatures, so... We can hold off on a turn, that way I can Banishing Light that with Archon out and get another flyer. But I guess Priest of Forgotten Gods gets to stay around then. But we will be just sacrificing 2/2 tokens to that. 2/2 Knight here, and then next time we have to sacrifice, we'll probably sacrifice a Pegasus over Bosri's Lieutenant. Here we go with the Kingdom Hearts Olympus theme again. Ooh, they throw it on the Piper of the Swarm. Interesting. Doesn't really do anything immediately. Ooh, Face Fetters is the draw too. Pretty good draw. Definitely going to Banishing Light the Helm. They only have 3 power worth of blockers, so we're definitely sending in Pridemate and Lieutenant. I think we're in a really solid position. Just get in there. They've got 3 cards in their hand. They have 2 Piper of the Swarms now, but I don't think that matters. I guess they can make 2 Rats a turn if they have enough mana to do it, but they're down at 1 now. So they've got to be doing some stuff very quickly here to stabilize. They need a way to get rid of 2 flying creatures. Bloodthirsty Aerialist, well now they have a flying blocker of their own. But they do need to get rid of 1 flying creature now. Face Fetters will definitely go onto their flyer. And then an Ashiok, so I guess we've got this.
Nightmares are the palette for my greatest work. This is my masterpiece.
So they could have a 1 red mana instant speed 2 damage spell. They could have Shock or something and they would survive another turn. So we are going to cast Face Fetters before I go to combat here, because then I win against any 1 mana spell in this cube. Alright, and there is the concession. So we did make it to 5 wins now. 5 wins and 2 losses. I don't expect another 7-win run out of this, but everything that we've gotten after the 4th win is definitely gravy. It's just the icing on top of the potatoes, the gravy on the cake. Those are the right terms, I think. 5 wins and 2 losses. See if we can make it 6, but if not, I'm extra happy because we got an extra win. At least the way I look at it. Well, another really sweet hand. We've got the Shadow Spear on turn 1. And Shadow Spear is awesome on any creature, but particularly awesome on Twin Blade Paladin if we can get it double striking. That will be incredibly sick. So, Seeker's Squire, alright. We've got Archon of Sun's Grace coming up as well, with Face Fetters to cast afterwards. So, we've got some really impressive stuff coming up. Do I want to just play an Anointer Priest, or do I want to start gaining 3 life a turn? I think I want to start gaining 3 life a turn to get closer to 25 life for Twin Blade Paladin. Because a 1/3 on the ground doesn't do anything here, so I'll gain 3, they'll gain 1. We're both white-black life gain, we'll both be happy there. I think it's a pretty fair trade. Just gain some life together. Alright, send in for 1. If they don't have anything in hand, I'm not sure about that attack, but they definitely have stuff in hand. Maybe they're just stuck on mana here. I kind of want to Entomber Exarch before I play the Twin Blade Paladin. Maybe this is playing it a little safe, but we're playing against white-black. Those are colors with a lot of removal, generally. They do have a start here, and then they'll have a finish next turn. in their grave. So they have Griffin-Airy, Bastion of Remembrance, Resplendent Angel, Cub Warden, and Entomber Exarch of their own. Well, I really don't want them to hit their 4th mana, that's for sure, because then Entomber Exarch comes in and they get rid of my Archon of Sun's Grace, or Twinblade Paladin. I think I get rid of their Griffin-Airy. I guess they're pretty far from constantly triggering that. I guess Cub Warden does that every turn. Bastion of Remembrance is really scary too. I think I get rid of Griffin-Airy. I don't want them to be able to get flyers. So they have Finish, so they have the removal for the Archon, and they did hit the 4th mana. This is really bad. Now they can play their Archon, get rid of one of my 2 creatures, and then they can cast Finish on the other one, which just shuts off my entire hand at this point, and then they can start just going off with either Resplendent Angel or Cub Warden. Either of those cards. It's just going to really bash me. It's so hard to zoom in onto something in your opponent's hand because it keeps thinking that I'm clicking on their avatar. Alright. Didn't hit the mana for the Archon anyway, so I guess... oh, they took Faith's Fetters. I guess, yeah, they've got the removal. They've got Finish to get rid of my Twinblade Paladin. They have to do 3 damage to my... They have to do 4 damage to Seeker Squire to kill it, so they have to block with the Entomber Exarch and some tokens. Sure, I'll send it in. Get a counter on the Twinblade Paladin. Paladin is just gonna die, but still. I guess they don't have the 2nd white for their Resplendent Angel or their Cub Warden either. So that's true. We've got an indeterminate amount of time before we have to deal with that, but I suppose they thought the same thing about the Archon, and now we've drawn into the mana for that, at least. That's pretty cool. They did get rid of my enchantment, which is a little sad, but still alright. I'm buffing up the Archon to 4/5 status so it can attack into their 1/4 flyer and kill it. Unfortunately, they have hit their Resplendent Angel mana or their Cub Warden mana. Either of those is very good right now. I think they probably just play Resplendent Angel because... yeah. Because they want a flyer. And they can place the Angel and the Bastion of Remembrance in the same turn because the Angel only costs 3. So they do need to hit one more white mana to be able to buff it up and spit out 4/4 Angels. So maybe I still have a little bit of a chance here, just attacking with Archon every turn and outracing them in terms of the amount of lifelink that I have. But if they draw one more white source, we are in. I shouldn't have said anything. Shouldn't have said a word. I'm the Jinx Master over here. Not really. I mean, it was super likely that they were going to draw the white sources eventually. And as I said a few turns ago, looking at their hand with my Entomber Exarch, I pretty much knew right there. I'm like, I'm probably going to lose this game. And I even said it. I was like, they have just the answers to deal with all of my threats, plus more threats of their own that I can't deal with after that. And then exactly that has transpired. It did take them a while to hit the mana to do it, but they did get there. I mean, they're just gonna pump it and make another Angel. Yep. This is just what happens when you don't have removal for the big threats. Not that we didn't draft removal, we've got tons of removal in this deck, we just they had the card to make us discard our removal. So, Resplendent Angel just gets to go off all by herself. She's an entire army in a can, wins the game all alone. Oh my god, they didn't have the third white mana up? That was embarrassing. I could have killed the Angel there. I don't think it would have mattered at this point, but I should have. I honestly kind of just zoned out of this game at this point because our odds of victory are like under 1% now. So I could have killed the Angel there because they did not have the 3 white mana untapped for it. Had I killed the Angel, it would no longer be on this board, but they'd still have just as much other stuff. And now they've just cast a Mikaeus. That's going to put a +1/+1 counter on their entire field, and they have a Cub Warden in hand. There's literally no chance, even if I killed the Angel. But that was 100% a misplay. Yep. Do the thing, Mikaeus. Whole field gets +1/+1. Only the flyers are coming in. Sure, just not gonna block. Just deal lethal. That's lethal if they pump the Angel, but I want out. I want freedom. I'm done. All right. So that will end my Simic white-black life gain. Tinkerer's Cube draft. Kind of a weird one. Got hard cut out of green and just pivoted into the open strategy. But pivoting that late does end up with just an okay deck. Even if you get something relevant for your strategy in every single pick, which we mostly did, because we pivoted that late, and dropped all of our early stuff. We just didn't have any of the big bonkers like Windmill Slam, pick one, pack one stuff for the white-black life gain decks. I mean, I guess we had the Archon. That is probably the biggest, bombiest one. And then Pridemate and Twinblade Paladin to follow it up. Those were probably the second best. Maybe like Basri's Lieutenant, the third most powerful. Pretty solid deck overall. It just doesn't have any of the really, really strong take over the game all by themselves cards. Cards that are like spitting out tokens every single turn. Archon's arguably one of those cards, but not with the amount of enchantments that we have in this deck. Just doesn't have like the Resplendent Angel kind of card, or like Griffinary or any of that stuff. But it was a decent deck overall, and I think it was probably better than our green-blue deck would have ended up in. I think maybe comparable with how Simic would have ended there. So that is going to end today's Tinkerer's Cube draft. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more of this content, stick around right here on the channel. Tomorrow we've got another Tinkerer's Cube. The day after that, the final Tinkerer's Cube. And this Wednesday, for several hours, I guess I might as well just say all day, I will be streaming the Call Time early access event live on my Twitch channel in the description below. And I will also have a Call Time early access draft up on this YouTube channel as well. If you just want to stick around here and you don't like going to external sites, I understand. I've got you covered. So anyways, as always, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you again tomorrow.